Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today I want to bring you a massive Division Resurgence recap of a bunch of gameplay breakdowns, a bunch of news that came out about the game. I mean, this week was huge for the Division Resurgence, and obviously with all the stuff that was going on with the Division 2, it kind of got pushed to the back for me at least, and so I want to come with a video today and just give you all of the information that you might have missed. This all, of course, is sparked by the fact that the beta for the game launched yesterday on December 8th, and that is running from the 8th through the 22nd for Android users in Europe. So if you live in Europe, you have an Android, and you're pre-registered to get into the beta, be sure to check your emails in case you missed your invitation, because that will be going on for the next couple of weeks here. But what do we actually have to break down about the game? Well, there were a few things released. There was the cinematic, like the main cinematic for the game that is going to play when you first launch the game, and just the general story setup, and it's really cool, so we'll get into that. They also released a video from the executive producer and the community developer on the game going over some of the main features of the title, and then also, of course, the beta commencement was yesterday, and that came with a ton of footage because there was no NDA on the beta, so anybody participating is free to stream it on, wherever, post it online, do anything. And so I do have some footage that we're going to go over and kind of I'll give my thoughts on, explain some stuff, talk about all of that. It's going to be great, and just know that there will be lots and lots of links in the description to the various videos and creators and everything that I'm using to put this whole compilation together, so be sure to check there if you want more information. Just keep in mind that this video can't and won't cover everything. I mean, the beta is live. The entire game is out there for people to go and see everything that it has to offer, and this is just going to be a 10-minute video of me going over what I think are some of the major highlights, some of the things I think people will care about the most and find the coolest, so that is what we're going to focus on today. But let's kick it off with the cinematic that is running in the background. Now, as far as the actual contents of it, I don't have too much to say other than this thing, and it's worth going, by the way, to go. I'll leave a link again in the description. It's worth watching it with the audio and in its full immersive experience. This thing gives major Division 1 and 2 vibes, just in terms of the quality, in terms of the attentiveness to the story and the lore of the game. It's awesome. It gives me major Division 1 vibes because, of course, this is taking place back in the winter time of Manhattan, closer to when the outbreak began of the green poison. It's fantastic. I loved it, and I think it's a really great setup for the Division Resurgence. That was the front part of that features breakdown video I mentioned that we got with the executive producer of the game and the community developer. They went over a few different details that I want to break down and recap here. The first thing, as I just said, we are going back to New York City, and it's pretty cool because we're a first wave agent, which is something that we have never seen in the Division universe pretty much anywhere, except for there is a brief bit in the newly released Division Compromise. But other than that, the first wave has always been a very elusive thing because a lot of them went rogue and all of that, but we actually get to play as an SHD first wave agent that stays with the Division, through the events of Manhattan, and that's really cool. And our character is also voiced this time around, so that's a big change. There's going to be main missions, of course. There's a campaign in the game, weekly events. I saw that there's bounties that reset per week. You got the DZ in there, conflict. I mean, it's the entire offerings of a main Division game, right? And I'm sure there's much more that they're going to expand on over time. I think they've even said we're going to get PVE game modes, all of that type of stuff, so it's all there. Controls are very fleshed out and precise. I mean, you can probably see in some of the gameplay, and you'll see later on that there is pretty much anything you would want that's going to be there. There's also going to be controller support at launch, so you can really emulate this as like a PC or console setup, given you have the right tools at your disposal, so it's going to be really nice. There's also automatic and standard cover mode, so if you want the way that cover works in the Division 1 and 2, you can play that way, or if you want it to be a bit more streamlined because it's on mobile, it's a bit harder to click all the buttons, you can have some sort of system, they said, where you go near a cover and it automatically puts you into it, so that'll be a nice option for a lot of people. Specializations are making a return. We knew that before, but they are more class-like this time around, where they have skills that are exclusive to them. You don't have like a just I don't know what you call it, an entire like skill selection where you can just choose whatever you want. They are tied to the different specializations. Specs are also going to have different perks. They have their own in-depth skill trees. They seem kind of like what Division 2 is heading towards once they implement the specialization rework, so it's kind of cool to see that evolved version here in Resurgence. Crafting is going to be more in-depth with the kind of stuff you choose. There's really a lot of like stat sheets and different sliders and bars you can see for the exact percentages of what different mods and weapons give you. I mean, it's kind of crazy the amount of RPG depth that we're getting here in a mobile game. The looter shooter genre is the emphasis here, they stressed. Of course, builds are back. There's talents on pretty much all pieces of gear. There's set bonuses. There's like like I said, it's just crazy, and I'm really floored by the amount of stuff we're getting here. Now, this game is also going to be fully MMO, a feature that we didn't have in the Division 1 and 2, where you can run into other players anywhere in the game outside of the Dark Zone in the open world to cooperate, to do missions, events, activities, whatever you can do out there. You'll see people just running around, and yeah, that's going to be a new feature that's exclusive to the Division Resurgence. They talked a bit about the Dark Zone. It is meant to have the best loot in the game, which personally for me, yes, thank you. That is something that the Division 2 seems to have lost sight of a bit, so thank you very much for returning to that ideal. Of course, we'll have to see it in action to know if that's the truth, but basically that seems to be the concept they're going for. It works the same way it always has, where you go in and you extract your loot. You can also extract yourself this time, though. If you don't want to run back to a checkpoint, you can go right out from the chopper, so that's pretty cool. And there's also a 20-minute timer to it, because it's meant to be a more fast-paced mobile experience, but we'll come back to that, and we'll expand on that a bit later in the video. But let's move over to the beta gameplay, shall we? And like I said, this is all over the internet. This is just the stuff that I'm going to be using in this video is just one perspective. You can find a multitude of other people's things that they've tried out, different experiences, all of that. And like I said, I can't cover everything in this one video. These will be some of the highlights. And also, I don't remember if I mentioned this earlier, I'm not in the test myself. This test is exclusive to European regions on Android, and I am in the States on iOS, so I am in neither of those categories. So major shout out and credit goes to Zach Wilder here for the footage that you're going to be seeing in the background. This is a guy over on YouTube that was streaming the game yesterday when it came out, and I saw the Resurgence account reposted on Twitter. I checked out the stream, and then I went and asked him for permission for some of the footage because I wanted to make a video on this, and he very graciously said that I could. So major credit and shout out goes to him. I will leave a link to his different socials in the channel down in the description below. I would absolutely ask you to go over and give him a thank you, give him a follow. It would be great. Seems like a really nice guy, and again, thank you so much for letting me use this footage. So I have to say, some of the first things that you notice when you watch this gameplay or any, gameplay of the beta, and I absolutely recommend that you do go and watch without my commentary, just like the most raw gameplay itself, you notice that it's just Division. It's got the same music, it's got Isaac, sounds the same, it's the world of the Division 1, the same locations, the same architecture, all of that. It's the Division on mobile. And like, we knew that, we had seen some stuff before, but just seeing the latest version of it, like, it's just crazy how much this is all coming together and just how expansive of an experience they're delivering to mobile devices. It's really mind-blowing. You got the same characters in there, of course. The base of operations is the same place as it was in Division 1. Fei Lao is in there. There's a cutscene with her, so it's really cool to be able to go back in time and see some of those characters that we've lost in the current day story. Jessica Candle is there. They show the LMB and Bliss and Ray Barrett. Like, it's just such a throwback, and it's really cool. And they say at one point in there, I think Faye says it, that Aaron Keener's still roaming around out there. So even though, in current day Div 2, we're not going to get Keener back, they've been pretty clear about that because he is dead. You never know with a good pull in the Division Resurgence later on down the road in the story. Maybe we encounter him there. And it's just really cool that we have this outlet to be able to see some of these old characters in this new setting. Something else that you pick up on very quickly from watching all this gameplay is just the amount of controls and support, which I did mention earlier, but the entire HUD is recustomizable. You can put the buttons wherever you want. I don't know if controller support is currently in the test now. They said it will be at launch, but I think these people might all be playing just off of the phone screen. So it's pretty crazy how intricate of an experience the Division is and how that's translated to just one screen where you're pressing all these buttons. It's just, it's a really great feat. Hats off to the developers for sure. So you can change, of course, your graphics, just everything. It's all there. I don't have footage of it in this perspective from Zach, but I did see in somebody else's coverage that there is a first-person aiming mode, which is something that I really never even thought we would see. I know people have requested it before, but there is an option where when you ADS, if you would rather your gun, whether it's iron sights or through a scope or through a sight, be in first person rather than over the shoulder, you can do that. And that's really crazy for a Division experience. I don't think that's something we'll ever see them carry on to the mainline Division games, but for this mobile port, that's there. And like I said, that's just kind of crazy after being with the Division experience for over 6 years. Another little bit that really took me by surprise was how there's some new mini games and interactive elements in here that we've never seen in the Division 1 or 2. There's this one specific example where I think they're at the Statue of Liberty and disarming a bomb or something. You have to use a screwdriver, take off the little bits, then you cut a wire or something. I mean, we've never seen stuff like this in Division 1 or 2. And again, while we've seen some of this before in previous bits of gameplay and all that, it's just really crazy to see some of this new stuff that we've never seen in the franchise. But let me back up a little bit to where we start off in this beta, or where people who are playing start off. There is a character creator. It's not fully finished, but you will get to customize your own character, which I know a lot of people care a lot about, myself included, so that's very cool. You then choose your specialization, which I think right now in the test there's the Demolitionist, Bulwark, and Vanguard, but there are going to be more, and we've seen that before, so it's cool that you get to choose it right off the bat. And again, they're very much leaning more into that class aspect, whereas Division 2, they're kind of just enhancements to your build. This is the specializations in this game very much seem to define your gameplay style, which is cool. As I said earlier, the base of operations is back in the post office that we had in Division 1. There is crafting in here. There's a store with a lot of stuff you can see in there. There's daily logins with, I think you even get like an exotic at the end of it, so that seems really in depth. There's just everything. And I saw this in the gameplay. I'll put a little thing up it on screen. Guess what's coming to the Division Resurgence? The Eagle Bearer. Maybe my favorite weapon from the Division franchise is going to be in the Division Resurgence. I can't wait to get that. And yeah, it's just crazy the amount of stuff that they're pulling from the Division 1 and 2 to make this new and evolved experience. I kind of made a video on this before a few months back, but Resurgence really does seem like kind of the latest and greatest version of the Division, which makes sense. You know, it's coming out, several years after Division 2 has, but to see the learnings of Div 1 and 2 be put into a mobile game and have that be like the most fresh and evolved experience, it's kind of crazy. Also, like in Div 1 and 2, there are collectibles, there's settlement progression and upgrades. Everything, like I said, incredibly expansive, incredibly in-depth and intricate on a mobile game. That's crazy. Then let's just go over to some general kind of PVE impressions, because like there's hours of gameplay in this video that Zach let me use. So again, thank you very much. So I'm just showing one portion of it here, and again, I encourage you to go and watch that full video or just go and browse through it to see some more stuff. But yeah, the gameplay seems just as, refined and cool as ever. I mean, this isn't the first time we're seeing gameplay. They showed some stuff off months ago when the game was first kind of announced, but you just get to see kind of the full experience here. It's just like Division 1 and 2, there's not much to say. You got cover, you got movement. The enemies seem to react and flow just like they do in Division 1 and 2, which is crazy again for the amount of AI to be in this mobile game. You got your different weapons, you got the skills. There are, I think, not in this gameplay, but there's a new type of skill on, I think, the Bulwark specialization, where I think they call it like what is it called? Like the spike shockwave or something, where you run forward, lunge into the air, and drop down this like shock stick that then creates an area of effect thing for a lot of enemies. And so, new skills, there's new animations to do that, where you like jump into the air. We've never seen anything like that in the Division 1 and 2. So for them to be able to take some of these liberties and introduce new stuff in this mobile game, which is, again, it's just really, really cool. Also, I'm sure, as you can see in the gameplay here, there is some pretty crazy cosmetics already in the game. This guy's got like a full motorcycle outfit on. I'm sure that microtransactions and monetization is going to be a big element of this game. I mean, it is a mobile game. It's free to play. There's a big precedent for that to be the case. Hopefully it's not too predatory or too pay to win. I don't think it's going to be extremely that way, but I'm sure it's probably going to be in there to some degree. I think probably the extent we'll see, and kind of where I'm thinking that might come in, is that there is an element of long-term crafting in this, which we don't have in Division 1 or 2, where if you haven't played mobile games before, they do it a lot, where to open a chest, you have to wait, 8 hours. And whereas then if you want to shorten that time, you can either donate resources or you can pay to automatically unlock it. I think that's probably where we're going to see some of the monetization in this game come in, is like if you want to reduce, let's just say, a 5-hour crafting time, just pay, $1, $2, and then it reduces it. I think that's the kind of stuff we'll probably see. I hope that there's not too much more than that, but we'll end up seeing. But yeah, you can see some of the outfits there. But to get back to the gameplay, obviously you've been watching it for a little bit now. It's crazy to me how much of the Division core experience they've been able to translate to an entirely different platform that has never seen something like this before. I think this is, without a doubt, one of the most in-depth and interactive experiences that'll ever have been on mobile devices, and that's really cool. The Division gets to kind of claim that title. We should, of course, talk about the DZ and PvP, because that's where my heart lies with the Division. Zach had some really great runs in the DZ here that were a lot of fun to watch him run through. There were some people playing Conflict too. I didn't get to watch a full match of it. I kind of missed one of the streams earlier that had it, so I will be very keen to see if somebody uploads some Conflict gameplay later on in the test. But there is one PvP fight in this clip that you'll see. And it's just crazy to me that they went the extra mile to bring PvP to mobile devices. It would have been so easy for them just to make this game PvE only, and I think a lot of people always say, oh, well, clearly nobody likes PvP in the Division. If they've gone through the trouble of introducing PvP to a mobile game, you think that people don't care about PvP? Come on. come on. But it looks a lot of fun here. It looks like, again, I'm really glad that they've reverted back to the single health bar for survivability and build making in this game, as opposed to the armor system in the Division 2. I just think doing it that way with damage resistance being a thing you can get on your builds and on your gear is just it's a better way to do it, in my opinion. The healing, I don't really know how many healing skills we're going to have in the game. I know there's a med kit that's kind of over time, so a lot of that, intricate stuff we'll get more details on later on, but the base PvP that I'm seeing here looks pretty cool. The time to kill seems solid. It's a bit long in this, but I think that's because a lot of the build setups and synergies aren't yet there, and once they are, you're going to see a lot quicker kills happen, but it's just going to be so much fun to run around like on the go with my controller in the DZ or in conflict and just have some Division PvP wherever. I'm so excited for that. I really can't wait for this game. It seems really cool. But the DZ overall looks like a lot of fun. Like I said, it's pretty much the exact same from the Division 1, obviously the same location, the same type of objectives and enemies. The one big difference that we mentioned earlier is that 20-minute timer. So the way that works, from my understanding, because they are trying to translate the Division more to the mobile ecosystem where things are a bit more fast-paced, people have less longer play sessions to go. And so the idea that they have here, I think, is that you get into the DZ and you have a 20-minute window to play, and then maybe people log off. And that's kind of their intention with it. And I think that works fine. Basically, what happens is that everybody starts off somewhere, and then you have that 20 minutes to go and farm, to go and extract, to do whatever you're going to do before the timer runs out. And there was a clip in here that I'll play of what happened when Zach was in there when the timer ran out. And what happened was the contamination just rose incredibly, and he died within seconds. So you can't wait past that 20-minute timer. You got to do what you're going to do and get out of there. And again, if this were like a console game, I probably wouldn't want that before mobile. I think that's fine. I think that's going to create a cool experience. And because we have the conflict mode as well, I think that's totally, acceptable for the DZ. And because they have the best loot in there, it's going to make those sessions really intense to get in and get out within that 20 minutes and get done what you got to do. So overall, PvE, PvP, character creation, crafting, specializations, story, everything about this game is just making me more and more excited for it, which I never thought I would say in a million years about a mobile game, but we have it now coming to the Division, and I think this could be a really important keystone and just stepping point for the Division universe and franchise moving forward. If it can be this popular thing on mobile, who's to say how that could end up benefiting or helping out the other parts of the universe? And if this game itself is good and it's not just like a cash cow, then that's more than I could ever have hoped for a mobile version of my favorite franchise in gaming. So yeah, what else can I say? The Division Resurgence, we got this huge amount of gameplay, news, and breakdown, and I very much hope you enjoyed my coverage of it. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe with notifications on to be updated every time I upload. Let me know your thoughts about this latest and greatest gameplay and news dump for the Division Resurgence. Anything stand out to you as far as the cinematic, as far as the features that the developers broke down, and what do you think about all of the gameplay footage that has made its way online since the commencement of the test? What do you think about the open world, the MMO part of it, the DZ? I mean, there's endless amounts of things to talk about, so whatever you are most interested in or whatever you have thoughts on, I would love to hear any and all of it down below. That is going to do it for me today, though, everybody. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and until the next one, guys, RogueGold out.